What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Chasing the Checker. My name is Bobby. This is Dylan Martin. Now, before we get into this video and this interview, if you're new to the channel, I need you to like, share, and subscribe. Once we get to 100 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway. Now, this video is sponsored by Fleming Family Racing. So please, guys, once you get done with this video, go over there and check them out and tell them that Chasing the Checkered sent you. Now, normally my videos are upbeat, happy. We're at the racetrack. Today's going to be a little different. So some of the stuff that we may talk about, listener discretion is advised. Viewer discretion is advised. There's going to be some pictures pop up here in a little while. And just want to, be aware before we get into this. So, but other than that, let's get into this video. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Chasing the Checker. Alright, y'all. This is my good friend, Dylan Martin. Dylan, these are the people. So, a little bit of backstory on me and Dylan. We've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
At first, I didn't like you. Dude, I did not like you. You had the personality of a toolbox, I thought. But that's just from not knowing you. That was, that changed one night at McDonald's when we happened to be there and Dylan didn't have his wallet. And I bought him some nuggets, and that changed the relationship forever. But how you been, man?
Busy, as you can see. It's funny you say that because most people are like, I don't like you, and they meet me and they're like, oh, okay, you're not so bad. Because everybody's got the mentality of, as when I was that young, I was daddy's money kid. So I was 15, 16, 17 when I met you. I'm like, what kid that young, forward, an $80,000, $90,000 race car, so they think, you're going to be arrogant.
Oh, I definitely thought. I was like, if it rains outside, this kid's going to drown because his nose is so up here. But then it all changed. But, so, for the people who don't know you, right, you're a racer at heart. You've been doing this since how long?
Probably since I raced motocross as a kid, so I think I was 9 or 10 when I did that, so probably 10, 11 years, something like this. It's been a long time.
And, I've got the stats, but, you've been just a rocket ship through, if we look at the stats here.
What stats you got? I'm not sure.
2011, you won, rookie season, won the 2011 Pro Truck Rookie Championship. And then, that's just 2011. 2012, you ran the Florida United Pro Truck Series, finished 7th overall. 13, you were promoted Florida United Promoter Series, where you captured 4 wins. You even took the pole from Joey Culture.
That was my highlight of my career for sure. Other than that, I haven't really done a whole lot. But I've been a lot of places. I've done a lot of things that most people pretty much dream of doing. Those things I didn't set the world on fire doing it, but I did it. Most people never get the opportunity to say that I did it. So.
But just even outside of the racetrack, you were big with the community.
Yeah.
You had racing for the car, racing for a cure.
Yeah, we did probably 70, 75 personal appearances a year. So if I wasn't racing, I was out doing some kind of public appearance. So that's what made my name so big. Because even now I can go out places and people recognize me. Like, hey Dylan, I'm like, oh hi, I don't know who you are, but they're like, oh, we follow you. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Like just the other day, I was at DMV. I'm sure she might even see this. She's like, Dylan. I was like, so I kept walking because I was like, I don't think that was my name. She said again. I turned around. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, hey, I saw your Facebook post about the AMON, and she used to coach with my former PR lady, Kim Scheffler, and So even now, I mean, I've been retired for temporarily retired for 2 or 3 years. So, but people still. I mean, I made it. That's where I made my biggest impact was off the track stuff.
I mean, so a lot of people think, racing is about, just getting in the car, going fast.
I wish.
But
that's the easy part.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as a racer myself, it's outside of the racing community where racing can be such a major impact. I mean, the kids. That was one of my favorite things is hauling to the racetrack, open trailer.
I think open trailer is the coolest thing to go to.
I mean, you got kids looking at you. You pull into the gas station to get the cooler filled before
pictures,
looking at it. I mean, shoot, I had we stopped at McDonald's one night before the track, and they were doing a car wash.
Oh.
And I let them wash the car, man. Now I know it's bad luck. Don't wash the race car on race day, but I mean, when you got kids out there for a baseball team or whatever, you got to let them wash the car.
Yeah, I mean, that probably made their week right there.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, and I think having an open trailer. I mean, that's what I'm gonna be with for a while is open trailer, because when I stopped racing in 18, 19, we sold everything.
Yeah.
Trailer, pit boxes, race cars, motors. We sold everything because we got rid of our race shop, and I had my house over here. I'm like, I'm not racing on my garage.
Yeah.
Like I love racing, but I don't want to be that big of a deal. I'm trying to tiptoe through my garage, trying to squeeze through. So I'm like, you know what? I sold everything. Now I'm like, if I'm going racing, I want to be on open trailer because everybody can see it. I get the reactions, the picture. Everybody asks questions about it. When it's in a big car crawler, it's cool. A lot of people see stuff like that. It has a paint wrap on it, but nobody really knows what's inside.
Yeah.
And then most of the time, you're talking about what's inside. A lot of times you open it, it's either empty or there's a smashed race car in there.
Yeah. So now we'll get to this thing here in just a minute because Dylan is coming back. You've been out of the game for a little while, and we'll talk about that here in a minute of why you've been out. But I kind of want to go back a little bit. So you ran pro trucks, then you went to the supers, and I mean you set the world on fire in the supers. I mean I remember watching you at Arbordale. I mean just smoke them in the pro truck, smoke them. I mean had one of the best looking trucks and supers out there, and then you got the call.
I got the call.
You got the call.
I got a call to say, hey, do you want to write this check? That's what I got that call for, but that's still, most people will never get that call. And
yeah, I mean, the NASCAR and the Cup Series was, fingertips away. I mean, you were there. So tell me about what happened with that phone call.
So when I was racing supers towards I think I only raced it for 1 year. So like one season in the supers, at that time we were sponsoring a Xfinity driver, and that driver was going to race for the team that I raced for, and he was like, hey, I'm not going to drive these guys, but I'll give you the opportunity to you get a hold of them. So we got a hold of them, went to North Carolina, had a meeting with them, and they're like, yeah, we can write that check. So we did, and we raced for them for 1 year, but we did like 20-some late model races. And we did 3 ARCA races. We did ARCA test at Daytona, but it was an experience for sure. Because at that time, once I turned 18, I moved up there to race.
Yeah.
That's all I did. So 18, I dreamed, slept, everything was racing. And I was also working at the race shop every day. I'm not gonna say 9 to 5 because it was more like 7 to 9. So there wasn't very too often that we would have 100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I personally got to race on the weekend with the same team. So it was very personally hard to do. Because 1, I'm away from my family. 2, I'm working every day of the week, and then 3, I'm racing on the weekends.
Yeah.
So,
and you're an 18-year-old kid at this
exactly.
point.
So I kind of missed the whole opportunity of being that 18-year-old kid and fooling around and stuff. But I made up for that when I turned 19.
Yeah. So you run the ARCA stuff. You said you run it for a year, and then you take a step back, right? And you come back to Florida. Correct me if I'm wrong here. You take a step back, come back. You do some more local racing. So you were in a super again. got some truck stuff under you, and then you got a open wheel modified,
So
right?
when I moved back, so we had the super late model when we moved up to North Carolina. We had that up there with us, and it turned out that driving that car versus driving like a late model stock and ARCA car, you learn a lot of bad habits. So we never raced up there just because it took me probably 15 late model races to break a lot of those habits. They're like, we don't want to put you back in the car, and they kind of
pick up old habits.
Exactly. So, and at that time, that motor was hurt from that year from Governor's Cup. 15, I think 2015, we ran Governor's Cup and hurt the motor. So while I was up there, we had to a local engine builder in North Carolina, fix it up, whatever, put it back together, and it just sat there. So once that deal was done, we moved back down, brought the race car with us, and we raced 1 or 2 super races. One was Governor's Cup, and then one at Auburndale, I think. But
which is still a great track, by the way.
Oh yeah, favorite track because 25 minutes left.
I don't care what anybody says. So many people talk so much crap about Auburndale Speedway, but I said it the other night.
The track itself is very fun.
I
love driving
the track is great, and it's 15 minutes from everywhere, it seems. And I said it the other night on Bray Holmes Racing. The crowd of people that go there. I mean, I've been to Citrus County. I've been to Orlando Speed World. Different racetracks. I was just at Sunny South with Fleming Family, Hattiesburg. I've been to East Bay. There's no crowd like the Auburndale crowd.
I think the fans of Auburndale are like the true racing fans. Like
they're loyal.
Like they're loyal, exactly. So like when most people that I see in public who come up and recognize me, they're from Auburndale. They're like, hey, we saw Auburndale. Hey, you're from Auburndale. It's never like Citrus, Orlando. It's always Auburndale. And I think, and a lot of people there, you ask them, like, they go there every week. For years, they go there every week. Because one, it's close to them. Two, there's a lot of people there. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember, being a kid going with my dad there, just looking, standing there beside the fence and just watching the cars. I mean, that's kind of how I fell in love with it. But I mean, they're loyal, man. I mean, and you have some die-hard Dylan Martin fans.
And especially for like being away for 2 or 3 years, they're still there.
They're still there.
I don't think they kind of faded away. Nope, they're still there. I posted back out that card and getting hundreds of comments and hundreds of likes, and I was like, dang, people still care.
So that brings us to this car, right? So this is an A-mod. But before we go into full depth about it, I want to talk about the day. And I mean, for everyone who doesn't know, the day we're talking about was September 28th, right? I remember exactly. I mean, it's one of those days where it's almost like 9/11. Like everybody remembers where they were when either we got the phone call or we seen the post. Me and my wife were at my parents' house, and she's sitting there scrolling through Facebook, and it was a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It was a Sunday, and Georgia says Dylan's been in an accident, and I'm thinking Saturday night was just there. I'm like, he was probably racing somewhere, right? Like Dylan, it's Dylan. He's always in an accident, right? But she said, no, he was in a motorcycle accident, and it was serious.
It was very bad, and a lot of people found out through Facebook. So my dad, he pretty much documented everything on Facebook, so the entire process of being there, he documented on Facebook. So I mean, when I say hundreds, I mean thousands. Like thousands of people shared this post, liked them, commented on. Like it was almost overwhelming when I woke up. I was conscious enough to pull my phone. And I'm just like, it was never ending. And even to this day, I go and look at pictures that I was tagged in on Facebook. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen that, Like, to this day, there's so many people that.
So walk us through that day. What you can remember, start to kind of what happened that day.
So that day, nothing. Don't remember nothing that day. The night before I was out with my friend, and we were over in Polk City riding hard. And
Motorcycle.
Yeah. So, and I rode the bike home, which I didn't know that. I thought I took the bike back to his house and drove my car back home. And it turned out that I did take the bike home, and then, I don't know, it was, that day, no. I don't remember anything until probably 2 weeks later. I woke up, and I asked my mom, I was like, did I wreck a Camaro? I thought I wrecked a Camaro. I never even owned a Camaro. And so I had the neck brace on, I had the back brace on, and my arms were in casts. I thought there was a tire around my neck. Like I wrecked a Camaro. There's a tire around my neck, the supercharged on my chest, my arms were, I'm like, ow. So I was between coma, pain medicine, and brain surgery. I mean, it was.
So you were on a motorcycle, and you were hit by a car.
So I was on my way to a bowling tournament that Racing Car College puts on every year for a charity, and I was riding the bike there, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're probably speeding, blah blah." I'm like, I wasn't speeding. I have a text that I sent my mom. She said, "You're late," she said, "Don't be late." I said, "Don't worry, I'm leaving early. It's a Sunday. I want to ride normal." And I was going down Coleman Road in Auburndale. We know Auburndale. And this lady runs a stop sign, and I hit her when I told her car. That's how hard I hit her. I told her car, basically ripped the bike in half. So I hit her window, her A-pillar, hit the window so hard my helmet ripped off, flew another 100 feet, and just right in the
Now, when I said viewer discretion advised,
it's rough.
we have a picture of the accident, and I'm going to put it in right now. So that's the accident. That's the scene right there. So
That's the only picture. I mean, I found that picture on Facebook.
really,
And even now, like when you ask me for pictures, I go on Facebook and find them. I got that picture, and then the one in the hospital. That's it. That's the only picture I have of that actually.
so you were in a coma for how long?
About 3 days I was in a coma. They induced me to it. I mean, I came in, I was wrecked.
So let's talk about the injuries. I mean, head to toe, you were busted
Literally,
up.
head to toe. So I broke all 10 toes, both feet, my tibia, and my femur, and my kneecap. Both wrists were, like, when the bone pop out, that's what it was. So both wrists were cooked. My upper back, my neck, and my skull were done. So I pretty much, everything but this leg was good.
So
It was bad.
broken legs, broken wrist, skull fracture. I mean, these are all life-ending injuries.
So,
Like,
and when the paramedics got there, I was done. I was dead. And then put in the ambulance, died again. And I was lucky enough when I had my accident, it was in front of somebody's house, and they came out before CPR on me until they showed up. And that, I mean, sometimes like my mom would say things, I'm like, "Oh, who's that?" She's like, "The girl who saved my life." I was like, "Oh yeah," because her name is very, everybody's got a name. I know a lot of people with that name, so she's like, "The girl who saved my life," and she was probably the one that definitely saved my life. I mean, a lot of blood transfusions. I had brain swelling, so I had to drill in my head, put a little probe in there, and make sure if it goes over this number, that's bad.
yeah.
And so they induced me into a coma, and then they're like, "Hey, we can't do anything else," so they pulled the plug. Pull plug. Well, I didn't die. So, but I was still in a coma. So they basically when they basically took me off life support, I was still fine, but I didn't wake up. But eventually, a few days later, I woke up, but not consciously. I wasn't there. So I didn't remember anything until like a week or two later. That I was actually conscious and vividly, I knew what was going on. They were like, "Yeah, you're awake." 3 days later, talking, wiggling your fingers. I'm like, an infant does that.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking back on what you know now, right? You know everything that you know. I have to ask, as a friend, as somebody who cares? Would you have gotten on that bike that day if you knew, knowing what you know now? Would you still have chose the bike that day?
Yes. Yep. Well, I think at that time I didn't have a vehicle. I think I was daily motorcycle, and it wasn't even my bike. I think so. My bike, I was working on it, so I didn't have a vehicle. I mean, I could have woken up earlier and gone with my parents or something that they're going to, but no, I still would have.
I mean, dude, you were the week, 2 weeks that we wasn't sure. I mean, because we didn't know. One day,
up, down, up, down.
One day there was a glimmer of hope. The next day they're pulling the plug. Like, all this is documented on Facebook, and we're sitting there watching, and it's like, he's here, he's not here. He's back again. Now he's gone. And I mean, Dylan Martin is a fighter. And then we started seeing the hashtag Dylan Strong. Seen it on multiple race cars.
So that was cool to me, because at that time when that hashtag was going around, I mean, I was conscious, but I wasn't cognitively there. So, and when I was able to enough to go on my phone, I see just thousands of Dylan Strong meals on NASCARs, ARCA cars, late models, and pretty much every short track car in the Florida had them. So that was cool to see.
I mean, so because I first seen the Dylan Strong on your brother's truck. Then I seen it on, mini cup cars and mod minis. Chris Nearmore Sr. had it on his, and supers. Dylan Strong takes off.
I mean, that says a lot about the racing community.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very, very loyal.
Even some of your competitors, right? I mean, that wouldn't necessarily give you the time of day behind the wheel. They would move you if they needed to. But now that you're fighting a different race,
exactly.
I mean, they're in your corner. They're supporting.
That's the thing. It's like they'll say Albert and Grandma to win a race, but it's different off the track.
Yep.
So off the track, your friends. On the track, I'm gonna wreck you. Like, if you're in my way, I'll move you. I don't like it on the racetrack. You have no friends on the racetrack, and everybody knows that. But off the track, your person, your people,
Yep.
You have feelings for everybody.
So we fast forward to 3 weeks ago. Dylan puts on Facebook, he's coming out of retirement. So ever since the accident, you tried to race one other time, right? Twice.
So I was. So I think September was my accident. End of September, October, November, December. 3 months. So December was the trade race, and
so 3 months.
3 months.
This man
I can't even walk.
Can't even walk. 3 months. He was just on the side of the highway, being scooped up, and then 3 months later, he is suited back up and attempts to get back in the pro truck for the big charity race we have here in Auburndale around December.
So I mainly did that race not because I had to, not because I had a proof point, because I was like, I wanted to do it, and I knew I wasn't being fast. I knew I wasn't being competitive, but I was like, me personally, I wanted to do it. It was never, after my accident, I want to go out racing. It was never, can I, if, it was like, I'm going to. Yeah. It's not when, it's I'm going to. So it's going to hurt. It's going to be tough, but I'm still going to do it. And I raced that, I didn't race charity race. I qualified, missed qualifying. We had to run the LCQ. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Okay. After that qualifying, I was like, too much.
I mean, because you had to learn how to walk again.
I had to learn how to walk, talk, use my hands. I mean.
So 3 months later, from learning how to walk, talk, be functionable, one of the first things you do is climb back in a race car.
Well, yeah, it was before that, because I tested the truck probably a week prior to the trade race. And I was like, oh, it's not so bad, but you're out there by yourself. It's different. You're not trying to be competitive.
Yeah.
You're just trying to, but it ended up being like, I couldn't keep my knees up. My legs were, I'm so weak at that point. So I had Chad build leg braces, which most people use, and then that was good. So went out again, and I couldn't keep my ankle in the gas pedal. So I made a gas pedal where the side of it was just fixed. So there's like basically a rod right here, so my foot can go. And then that was I would call it an external steering shaft truck, so it wasn't collapsible, so there was nowhere to put a knee knocker. So I'm gonna have to hold my legs up, and that was fine. I mean, I handled that for a few laps, and then it wasn't even my leg that was just destroyed. It was my other leg. Hitting the brake hurt so bad after 4 or 5 laps. Like I hit it because somebody stabbed in the knife in the ball of my foot. So I was like, okay, maybe it'll go away. So we went to the charity race, practice, whatever, slow as heck. Qualified, basically dead last. Couldn't run the LCQ, and I was like, no. I was like, I already beat everybody's expectations because I mean, a lot of people are like, this is stupid. Like, you don't need to do this. I'm like, you don't need me to do this, but I need to do this for myself.
Yeah.
I needed something to be able to look forward to, because I'll always push myself, and for me to do that, I was like, I might not be able to race it, but I was there. I came, I saw it, so that's fine. I'll be back in 2 months.
I mean, because we even have pictures of that I'm gonna post up now where Dylan was at the track prior, and you're in a wheelchair, dude. You're in a neck brace, and I'm gonna post that one here. And I mean, you were literally, you said at the beginning of this, you live, breathe, die racing. And then brings us to the AMOD here. And me and you've had some conversations over the past few weeks. And I texted you and I said, why? Why? Just why? And you said, you don't want to do it for a living anymore, but you want to do it to have fun.
Yeah, and I know, like, I've raced, supers, I've raced ARCA, I've raced legend cars, I've raced sport, I've raced all the big classes of cars, and they're like, why would you get an AMOD? I'm like, for one, I'm doing it on my own opinion, so it's expensive to race, everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. And I wanted an open modified, like the one I showed you. So I built an open modified, I traded for the Super Late model. I mean, I made that chassis gorgeous. Powder coated, the rear end, every nut and bolt brand new on that car as a roller. There's no body on it. I had my Super Late model roller in it. And I'm like, so after late models, I wanted something more, a little more financially smart. Yeah. Even though nothing in racing is financially smart, but something a little more feasible. But I got to the point where I'm like, I got 30 grand sitting right here. I mean, this motor's 25 grand. I got the chassis, the rear end, everything. I mean, I'm like, nope, sold it. So I sold the chassis to someone that runs Showtime and sent the motor to some guy in Puerto Rico. He bought it. So after that, I think I bought the truck after that. I can't remember.
So this car is now a lot of people, including myself, when we first heard of Dylan Martin and we seen you pulling into the racetrack in that 38-foot, big enclosed with Dylan Martin racing on the side and all this.
I gotta humble myself.
And I remember the big RV/bus thing, and a lot of people were, that's a daddy's money kid, right? And
it was
spoiled, which he said it, he was. But this right here, this is all Dylan's money. This is not daddy's money. This isn't, big sponsorship money no more. Like, all that's gone.
The only thing sponsoring me is my region's bank account.
So, y'all heard it here first. This may need some sponsors. We need sponsors for this thing. So, tell us about the AMOD, man.
So, the AMOD is basically the same drivetrain the Pro Truck has, but it has a quick change rear end. It runs a Super T10 transmission, but motor, carburetor, suspension, all pretty much exactly the same as the truck. They run DOT tires. That's what really intrigued me because I've wanted to get back racing for a long time, and I know with being out of it for 2 or 3 years, they were like, no, he's not that into racing. There wasn't a day that went by that I'm like, man, I I want to get a race car, but I'm like, tires are why I will not get back to racing.
Yeah.
You know, especially now that they're so expensive.
And
they're hard
shortage.
Shortage. So, and when people question me why do I have an A-mod? They run used tires. And
you can pick a set of tires up at Tire Kingdom or Firestone.
You can last the season out if you don't destroy them.
Yeah.
And people are like, why would you get your A-mod? Why would you not just get a regular E-mod or whatever? And then New Smyrna posted their post saying, you know, E-mods have been canceled because they have tire shortage for Hoosier. I'm like, this is exactly why I'm not doing it. And they're like twice as much as they used to be back in the day. So I'm like, you know what? This is fun. I can't afford the horsepower, so I might as well drive something that's kind of sketchy to drive.
There you go. So this is, I mean, this is going to be, what, 3 years since you've been behind the wheel of a race car?
It was actually a few days ago. I got a notification on my phone. It was results from the last time I was in a race car 3 years ago. So 3 years ago was the last time I was in a race car.
Now, what is your fear?
I'm slow.
So, are you worried about going out there and people have this expectation?
Yeah.
Are they, you know, we don't want to, you know, is he okay to even race?
Yeah. I mean,
all of that. Does any of that play in your head?
No, because to an extent, I know there's people out there who have expectation, you know, because I've won a lot of races. I've always ran good, so I always run good. And like, I don't expect to go out there and set the wrong part whatsoever. I mean, in the back of my head, my more ignorant part, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go out there and win. But I'm like, the realistic part, probably not for a while. So I know people will have the expectation of me, you know, run up front, but I don't listen to people, obviously, and I'm there to have fun. It's not a career anymore, like you said. So whatever I do it for me and have fun. That's all that matters.
Well, dude, we're definitely going to keep, I mean, you're going out tomorrow night. You're going to try to. And we're going to keep tabs on it. Your first race, I'm going to throw cameras in the car. We are going to see how it goes for Dylan Martin and, you know, this new kind of racing, right? This is a whole new world for you, right?
Yeah. I don't get to go in my big comfy trailer with my bed and my AC and have my little hot dog roller.
No,
I got an open trailer, tent maybe, and a
tent's right here.
Yeah, there's tent, and that's maybe the same. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
I can fit on a trailer.
I appreciate it, man. Before we end this, is there anybody you want to thank?
I've been waiting 10 years to say this, but no. Myself, my bank account, Regions Bank for not red flagging my account. That'd be nice.
Now, he doesn't say that out of cockiness.
Actuality. But no, on a serious note, my friends, family, fans, pretty much are my biggest people that like to do it. Because when I first got back, when I first posted this, I was like, you know, I'd post on Facebook, I mean, 1 or 2 times in the past 2 or 3 years on my racing page. It's gotten 1, 2 likes. I'm like, nobody cares anymore. Then when I posted this, I got hundreds of likes and shares. Like, oh, they do care.
So,
it just wasn't relevant.
So, were you thinking that Dylan Martin was in the past?
I was.
And that these, I mean, because if, I talked about this earlier with you, there's always going to be a Dylan Martin, right? And I even said the Bray Holmes, he reminds me a lot of you when he's in the truck, and when he was in the truck, now he's in the Super, and he was setting the world on fire in the truck. No one's forgot about you, man. That I promise you, whether you're in an A-mod, whether you're in a Super, whether you're in a scrambler car, you're still going to have Dylan Martin fans fill them stands. As soon as you post on there and say, we're back, I mean, people are going to come to see Dylan because, I mean, you're a miracle, man. I mean, you're here, you're talking.
I'm here, I'm talking. That's kind of a depends who you talk to.
I mean,
it could be a good thing.
By the grace of God, dude, you're here, and as a friend, I'm happy that you're here. I know there's a lot of people behind this camera that feel the same way. Whether they say it or not, that's on them. But I'm looking forward to this, dude. And Chasing the Checkered, we're going to be there the entire time to make it all happen and to see the comeback story.
Hopefully it's a good one.
I mean, and if it's not,
It's still a story.
it's still a story, right? But I appreciate it, man. I thank you for the time.
Thank you.
You got a nice shop. You're gonna have this thing full here in a little while.
It's very full.
Well, we're gonna fill it up some more. Hopefully we get some trophies up there.
Yeah, that would be nice. There's a lot of wall room.
Now y'all can't see this, but there's this big board up here that's got all of Dylan's trucks, and there's his brother's trucks, and there's Dylan's ARCA car. There's not a picture of the A-Mod up there,
Not yet.
and but we need to make that happen, and maybe a Chasing the Checkered plaque or something up there.
An A-Mod with a checkered flag.
A-Mod checkered flag, that'll look good. But tell everybody where they can find you, man.
On Facebook, it is Dylan Martin Racing LLC, and then my Instagram is Dylan Martin 07. So is my Twitter. That's about all I want to share.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've hung out with us this far, remember to like, share, subscribe. Huge shout out to Fleming Family Racing for sponsoring this video. We will be at Auburndale Speedway this weekend. It is, what's this weekend going to be? What's today? The 9th, the 10th? I don't know.
13th.
The 13th. Okay.
No, 14th.
So the 14th.
Saturday's 14th.
So Saturday is May 14th. We're going to be back at Auburndale. Dylan is practicing this thing tomorrow night for Test and Tune. We will film it, and hope your first race is coming up real soon, man.
Yeah,
So good luck.
Shooting for next month, so June?
Yeah.
June 4th is what I'm shooting for.
June 4th. All right.
Let's see.
Guys, thank you so much. On behalf of myself, Bobby, Chasing the Checkered, Dylan Martin Racing, we thank you guys, and we will see you next time.